Thanks for coming along on another trip. This time, my brother-in-law and I, Mike Clark, will be spending 2 weeks in Europe and in the Middle East. We'll be doing 4 symposiums, one in Vienna, Austria, one near Bucharest, Romania, and then 2 in a major city in the Middle East. So come along. We're looking forward to it. We are beginning our journey in Vienna, Austria, that beautiful city on the Danube. We will be presenting our Symposium 1 on the theme of what leaders do for Lisa Myers with Greater Europe Mission, who is hosting us along with 30 of her key staff and leaders. Lisa has recently taken over the country leader role for Greater Europe Mission in Austria and is doing a terrific job. And she's even translating some of our materials into German. After Vienna, we're flying down to Bucharest, Romania, where we are meeting our good friends, Kevin and Michelle Weppler, also with Greater Europe Mission, and located in Dragonești, Romania. This is our second time to be with them, and Kevin has also recently taken the country leader role with Greater Europe Mission for Romania and is off to a good start. Dragonești presents a totally different environment than Vienna. Still, the symposium is needed there with those leaders just as much. So let me tell you about how we use our symposiums. We use the symposiums to do 2 things in particular. First, it's a means of introducing our leadership models, principles, and practices to others. We want to help leaders by giving them a framework for the practice of leadership. And we've seen over the years that this helps to take the mystery out of leadership for them and increases their competence and confidence by providing them with an understanding of how to practice leadership. We generally start each session of the symposium with a 15 to 20 minute information burst to get the concepts out onto the table. And we even use film clips to illustrate the concepts and to set up some of the exercises that we'll be covering. We then put the lump of clay onto the potter's wheel, so to speak, and ask the leaders to get their hands in it through exercises in order to help their understanding of it and their ability to practice it with others. These sessions are very interactive. We utilize individual processing as well as responding in pairs, triads, small groups, and even role-playing. We teach, we clarify, we interact, and we practice, all the while asking the participants to relate it to their actual leadership context. We want to help them again with the practice of leadership. Second, we also use our symposiums as a training ground for our associates, like my brother-in-law, Mike, a retired executive from Birmingham, Alabama. Along with Mike, we also have the opportunity to utilize Todd Peavy, our Middle East associate, and he's teaching some of the segments that we'll be doing there in his city in the Middle East. Nothing forces you to learn something better than having to teach it. Mike has done several symposiums with me already and does a great job, and this is the first time to have Todd co-teach with us. However, our symposiums only cover 4 to 7 hours per day, depending upon the availability of the teams. Yet, typically, our days run 15 to 16 hours a day. So how do we use the rest of the time? Because we are all about leader development, not leadership development, we need to get to know these leaders and their context. It's hard, though, to really get to know them during the actual symposium hours. You get to know some things, of course, but much of who they are, what motivates them, and their actual leadership context and challenges are not really available to us during those symposium hours. So rather than to retreat to our hotel rooms, we're just getting started as the sim sessions end each day. First of all, when possible, we rarely stay in hotels. We much prefer to stay in the homes of the leaders when possible. Sitting around the breakfast or dinner table with good friends like Jim and Lynette Hatcher in Vienna affords a great opportunity to hear the stories of how these leaders got to where they are. It's a safe environment which lends itself to dialogue and transparency. It also lends itself to helping with meal preparation and even washing dishes, as with the Weplers in Dragonest. As you can see, meal times with them and all those who were staying with them in their expansive home affords wonderful opportunities to get to know these leaders as people, as friends, and as fellow leaders in the journey to leading like Jesus. Catching a meal at a local restaurant likewise gives us a further opportunity to serve our host and presents a safe, familiar, and enjoyable milieu to get to know them better. Again, leaders do not lead in isolation. There is a context for them, and that context influences them. Lisa took an afternoon to help us explore the heart of Vienna, a beautiful city. It also has a disturbing past. To stand at the site where the dreaded Gestapo office once stood during the Second World War, reading the memorial erected there to the thousands of people who lost their lives during the Nazi tyranny, helped us to understand that Austrians' built-in hesitancy and even noticeable aversion to the concept of leadership. After all, the German word for leader is Führer, a word which sparks an immediate association with the past that they so want to leave in the past. Whether we are walking around the city or taking public transportation to get to our meeting hall, it allows us time to ask questions, to listen, and to even rub shoulders with the locals. We find that most people love to talk about where they live and work. And whether it's a thriving metropolis like Vienna or a one-street town like Dragonest, Romania, it's where these leaders live and lead. And that's important to them. And in helping to coach them, it helps us to tailor our approach to their context. For security reasons, I can't give you many details on our time in the Middle East. I can say that we spent a wonderful week there. We did a Sim 1 with about 30 leaders, and then we did a Sim 2 on the theme of how leaders multiply with 12 leaders who had attended our Sim 1 there last year. These leaders represented several different mission agencies, and their eagerness to learn was contagious. We did have fun as I engaged them in a game to illustrate the difficulty of bringing alignment to the team. There were lots of laughs as these teams of 3 had to do simple tasks like tie a shoelace and make a paper airplane, while 2 of the 3 were blindfolded, and the one in the middle who could see had both hands tied to one of the hands of his teammates and couldn't use them. Such a simple task and so hard to do together. This was our second time with these agencies in this city, and they want us to come back again next year. As we talked about the future, I'm encouraged that this site could possibly become a key leader development training center for us in this region of the world. Hey, thanks for coming along with us. Mike and I just arrived in Frankfurt, Germany. We left this city in the Middle East at 2:30 this morning, arrived here at 6, and we're so looking forward to being home. But it's been a great 2 weeks with leaders in Vienna and in southern Romania and then in this major Middle Eastern city. So thank you for coming along with me. I hope it showed you a little bit of what we do at these symposiums. And until next time, keep your face in the book and your knees on the floor.